Welcome to my channel Art Book Nook. My name is Kay and I review art and craft books. Today I'm going to review Watercolor Your Way by Sarah Cray. If you're a complete beginner or honing your skills, Watercolor Your Way might be just the right choice for you. Sarah Cray is an artist and illustrator and co-founder of the art education platform Let's Make Art. Watercolor Your Way is designed by Sarah to inform and guide you at your current skill level. There are 4 chapters contained in the book, each focusing on different techniques, supplies, and each one building on the other. There's a chapter for those just starting out, for building confidence in your skills, finessing and enhancing, and finding your style. So let's take a look inside. In the introduction, Sarah describes how and why she structured the book and gives you some encouraging words. So chapter 1, for those just starting out. In this chapter, we'll focus on 3 fundamental elements: shape, the wet on wet technique, and primary colours. Sarah's goal when breaking things down in this way is that you'll only need to know a little bit to get started, and starting is the most important step. Sarah is not the type of person who spends a substantial amount of money on supplies, and she encourages you to use whatever you have, stating the most important thing is to put paint to paper. And she lists some of the basics that you might like to consider, in addition to some additional supplies. Sarah prefers round brushes, and she explains why on the right-hand page. Throughout Sarah's book, she's incorporated some QR codes, and if you scan these, it'll take you to a video tutorial, and this will augment the instructions on the page for you. I think this is an excellent idea. Sarah could have just typed, just have written a link to a website address, but then you'd have to take the book to the computer or whatever. At least when you scan this with your mobile phone, you can actually be reading the book and practicing all the techniques, and you can actually just get your phone out and have a look at the video at the same time. It's really clever. Sarah likes to use liquid watercolours, and she likes the brand Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolours. Now, I've never heard of these before, so I've undertaken some research. They are liquid dye-based watercolour paints compared to traditional watercolour paints which are pigment-based. So these Dr. P.H. Martin's paints are known for their intense, vibrant colours and their transparent quality. They come in bottles with droppers as opposed to tubes or pans, and they're very popular among illustrators, graphic designers, calligraphers and artists who want really bright, luminous colour effects. They are fugitive, which means they're not light fast, so eventually the colours will fade in time. However, if you're just starting out and practicing, I don't really think this is much of an issue. And Sarah also recommends starting out using the cheaper cellulose paper rather than the more expensive cotton-based watercolour paper. So for a complete beginner, Sarah's intention is to save you some money, some initial outlay costs. But if you already have some artist quality watercolour paint or student quality watercolour paint, you can just as easily use those. In this first section, we have 5 painting projects. The first is called Weeping Willow Leaves. Each project is structured in the same way. We begin with a list of what you'll need, and then we have very detailed step-by-step instructions which are fully illustrated, and Sarah explains the different techniques she's used. I'll add some lovely background music to the rest of the project so you don't have to listen to me waffling on. So chapter 2 is all about building your confidence and skill, and this chapter will focus on value and form. And Sarah explains a circle is a shape and a sphere is a form, and once you understand values and how to create them, you'll be able to recreate anything. I do love this painting of a tiger. In essential techniques, Sarah covers glazing, wet on dry and values, and explains the importance of water to paint ratios to achieve value contrasts in your work. And Sarah explains how to achieve a value shift by using the blending technique. And we have another QR code here so you can watch a video where Sarah demonstrates this. For the projects in this section, Sarah is using Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours. These are student grade paint and a great introduction to pigment based tube paints if you've never used watercolour paint before. While student grade, they are very good quality. Professional artist Oliver Pyle only uses Cotman watercolour paint in his work. Sarah says if you've used the liquid dye-based paints in the previous chapter, you'll immediately notice the difference in colour saturation and vibrancy between the two types. While Sarah loves the bold bright colours, sometimes a painting calls for a more subtle approach, and Cotman watercolours will provide this in an affordable way. And Sarah suggests using Legion watercolour paper, which is a decent 100% cotton paper that won't break the bank. Sarah has noticed that pigment-based paints work better on cotton papers and dye-based watercolours work best on wood pulp or cellulose paper. Sarah has given you 5 more lovely projects to build your skills, using the alternative materials she's suggested in this chapter, although you could use the ones that Sarah recommended in the first section. We begin with this lovely project called Misty Mountains. It's quite simple, but I think it's very effective and I really like it. Chapter 3, Finessing and Enhancing. In the previous chapters, you've learned multiple techniques and you've focused on value. In this chapter, you'll focus on detail lines, adding backgrounds, and adjusting the values by hue. Sarah recommends patience. The projects will take longer than the previous ones, and there is more attention that needs to be paid to detail. You may need to pause and come back to your painting in between layers. And it's often best to walk away from your painting and visit it again with fresh eyes before you consider whether or not it's a finished piece. Sarah also explains some very basic colour theory and how to achieve colour transitions. For the projects in this section, Sarah has used artist grade paints by Daniel Smith, which she says are her favourite. They're excellent quality, highly pigmented and a joy to use. And Sarah recommends 100% cold pressed cotton paper by either Arche or Hahnemuller. Depends how you pronounce it. I'm sure I've pronounced both those brands incorrectly. Sarah finds when it comes to working in watercolour, she likes these 2 brands the best. We've now arrived at 4 more wonderful painting projects, which will build on everything we've learnt in the previous 2 sections, starting with irises. Remember, Sarah advises you to take your time slowly over these. This final chapter is all to help you find your own style. which is one of the most common questions Sarah gets asked by students. How do I find my own style? And we have 3 final painting projects to help you. So we have Pop Pink Rose. Sarah asks you to return to chapter 1 for this project and to take up your Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolours and to focus on how you feel about bright bold colours with a more illustrative style. In Atmospheric Landscape, you'll revisit the wet on wet technique, but this time using Daniel Smith's artist quality extra fine watercolours. You will allow the water and pigment to do the work for you. And in the final project in this lovely book, Fluttery Friend, you'll focus on building up layers to create depth using Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours. At the end of this book there are outlines and templates which you can copy to help you with some of the projects. There's also a QR code where you can actually download these if you wish. We have an extra resources page, Sarah's acknowledgements, and also a little bit about Sarah Cray herself. Sarah Cray has written this book to inform and guide you at whatever skill level you currently are, whether you're just starting out or whether you're wanting to develop your skills and find a new style. She's put a lot of thought into this book in the way it's structured. I like the way that the chapters are segregated into beginners, intermediate and some more advanced. And it's very considered, where Sarah has started the absolute beginner who has no art supplies off with some very cost-effective materials that will enable them to produce some lovely results. And as each chapter builds, you can slowly introduce more artist quality and more durable art materials. And I like the way Sarah has included these QR codes which link to actual tutorials that augment the content in the book. In the description below I've put links to where you can find out more information about Sarah Cray. I've also linked to her website and her Instagram page. And you absolutely must visit Sarah's YouTube channel, where she has over 1,200 video tutorials for you to enjoy. I've also added a couple of links below to where you can buy your own personal copy. I hope you found my review helpful. If you did, please give this video a like. It helps YouTube promote my channel to other people who are interested in art books. I try and post a new art book review every single week, so if you'd like to see more reviews from me, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And if you found this review helpful, please leave me a comment below. I do reply to all comments. And if there's an art book that you'd like to see, let me know and I will do my best to review it for you. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy painting.